You're leaking.
I know. Why am I leaking?
Maybe it just got
Just that
stuck in the...
Let's do that. My son uses his hair. Just like, it's the perfect napkin. I didn't realize that.
Or clothes.
Or your clothes.
Man.
Yeah.
I remember growing up, my younger brother would go like this. And so his entire sleeve.
There's so much napkin there, though, from here to here.
Yeah, my Aiden used to do the same thing. So I don't know if it's just a boy thing, or this. My dad still does this. Oh, funny. It's his work pants, so it makes sense.
You can't get away. These are my podcast pants, so I'm going to get away with it just fine. But man, the flavor of this one, you're right. Coconut anything. Cocoa watermelon. This is probably the best one I've tasted.
So far?
Yeah, so far.
You took all of them, didn't you?
I did. I took them all. So I'm guilty, guys.
I did bring 2 more. So Denise and Wendy, if you ever even get this podcast, I did try.
Yeah. I don't know if I can be trusted. I don't think I can be trusted. I want to talk about this. So let's get started and talk about this. The top one, right?
Yes.
Here we go. A good morning.
Yay, it's Wednesday.
It is Wednesday, June 17th.
Yep.
The year of our Lord, 2026. And we have lived to see another day.
Yes.
My name is Fred, and I'm with
Julie.
And you're listening to
Mind
and the Maker. So before we jump in, we did mistakes the human experience. And then I made a mistake in the amount of space I had on my laptop. And so I actually made a purchase. So we won't be having that problem anymore. We won't be making that mistake again. But I wanted to go into the next one and then circle back around to mistakes the human experience. Yeah. So today's episode is Back to the Brain. And as you can see there, she brought a brain, and you used this for a children's story.
Oh, yes, a couple of times.
That's pretty cool.
Her name is Sarah.
Oh, she has a name.
Sarah Bellum.
It's even better. Sarah Bellum. Is it S-A-R-A-H or just S-A-R-A or like what?
Yes.
Bellum. Bellum is her last name?
Yes.
Okay, I like it. I'd love to meet her husband or brother or dad and mom. So those are the relatives. That's good. I like it.
Corpus callosum.
Oh, you're gonna have to show us all that stuff. Do I have that in here?
I hope so.
You can never know evermore. And you know the functions of all those things.
A little.
Okay.
I wouldn't call myself a neurologist. I'm not, but okay. I know a little bit about all of those.
That's cool. So we're going to get back to the brain.
Yes.
But before we do, right now I'm feeding my brain cocoa watermelon.
Yes.
Could you describe to our listeners what this is?
I will try. So I have not actually tried cocoa watermelon, but we actually talked about this in our last episode. So the Loaded Tea Shop, Mark Powell, who is one of my friends from Academy, he and his wife started one of the tea shops a while ago, and they were both like, you know what, I think we can do this better. And his wife, actually, Alicia, I really am sorry. I don't know. I think it's Alicia. But she started saying, hey, I think I can make this better. And so she started looking for ingredients and wholesome ingredients that we can put in our bodies. And I know for us, red dye 40 is not a great dye because it promotes hyperactivity. And we already have a son that is severely hyper, Aiden. So I think they have similar experiences. And so they wanted to make something that was artificially dye free, that had green tea or caffeine from green tea, which is supposed to be healthier than coffee. It has vitamin D, vitamin K, which helps the vitamin D absorb, aloe, vitamin B9, 12, 3, 5, and 6. It's just got a lot of really good things in it. And so they started to promote this, and they're blowing up. And both of them actually did say they would like to be on the podcast.
Really?
So that's exciting. Now we just have to figure out the logistics of how that's going to work.
Yeah.
So definitely keep an eye out because we want to have them tell their story. Mark, who I know from school, I think I was telling you last time, he was the one actually, whenever you remember 9/11, in our case, we were headed to algebra class with Mrs. Carr. He was the one that was yelling like they hit the Twin Towers. I had no idea what he was talking about.
Yeah.
And so that obviously changed everybody's lives and flight experiences and everything. But So these have been something we have been moving into because they have electrolytes and they have caffeine. So I have to make sure I consume mine before 1 p.m. or I won't sleep.
Otherwise, you'll not sleep
Yes.
that night.
But I've noticed that I don't crash around 2 or 3, honestly. I've been testing this when I have this. I did have caffeine this morning, so I did the caffeine free, which they have. And so
Oh,
I have a
okay.
bunch of those for the kids at home, but they still have the vitamins in them.
Oh, that's
and they have
great. That's great.
electrolytes. And so Kaylin's been using those at home
Yeah.
since she's starting to work out.
That's great. So you
So-
could use this for so many things.
So many.
Mark, Alicia, shout out to you guys. I just want to say how much I appreciate innovation of this time, this era, because I don't know, I feel like we now we talked about this last time, looking at products and knowing what's in them.
Hold on. What's going on?
Oh no, what is that? Let's see. Let me go look at that real quick. Hold on. That's weird. Is it it's completely
It's frozen. It is frozen. Audio. Yay. Oh, it's moving now. That was so weird. Oh, it paused again. Was it on a button?
Yeah, that's I think afterwards at the second time it was, yeah.
Now it's stuck again. Okay, it's back. Yeah.
Okay, I'm glad you caught that.
Anyway, so I'm not sure where we got cut off, but
Yeah, it looks like we're still recording, but I just wanted to say shout out to Alicia and Mark because I think being able to look into what we consume and then look at what we need and then to put your mind to it and create something amazing.
yeah.
And so I'm just excited about that. The other thing is working it into my routine because I'm always looking for something that will feed my body and my mind on the go kind of thing. So shout out to you guys. Looking forward to having you on the podcast. Back to the brain.
Yeah. I know we've been adding in prayers.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah.
I actually have a couple. So one of my best friends from growing up, her uncle was just killed in a motorcycle accident.
That's horrible.
And so their family is going through that. And it was on their first day of vacation. So just Amber, actually, I know
Amber.
she's messaged a couple times on here. And so just her uncle and their family.
So Amber's uncle and family.
Yeah. My anxiety because my daughter's driving.
Ah, that's right. Yeah. Shout out to you, Kaylin. Hang in there, girl.
Me.
What is it to my and mom too? For both of y'all, that you will do things that will ease the nerves of your mother.
Just be safe.
Be safe out there. So what is she doing tomorrow?
It's her first 2-hour drive session
2-hour drive.
with the instructor. So they will. When we were at Kaylin or Aiden and I were playing outside yesterday, and I saw 2 student drivers in our neighborhood. I was like, "Oh, the high school's at it."
This is time. It's time. It's happening. That's so funny. Okay, so I know there's a couple others. I think in school that I saw. I think
all the high
Chloe.
schools
Yeah, a lot of them
are starting to do.
they're driving. Wow. So yes, prayers for that. How is your health and your monitoring? And
My monitor is off. I got to take that off on. Oh, thank goodness! No, when did I? Sunday. So my skin is healing.
nice.
Next Wednesday, actually, after our next podcast, I get to go on for my tilt table test.
Tilt table test. Okay.
So that'll be an interesting experience.
Okay.
And
okay.
then after that, I think it's just putting everything together, looking at the month's monitoring and seeing if they've seen anything. And the tilt table test, yeah. So part of me hopes they catch something just for answers.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it looks like my heart's healthy. So yay.
Yay. So we're going to give some thanks for that. I've been thinking about Wendy, my sister-in-law. She went in yesterday and they did they do so many checkups throughout the year after. And I guess she has a port that's, I don't know if it's here where they would feed, I think it's like the chemo through. Yeah. And she's actually going to have that removed. So she's excited about that. So we're going to thank God for that. And just prayer for health in general. I think it's summertime. Our kids are doing things if you have kids. And so we'll be praying for Alicia. Alicia and Mark, your business, but for your friend, her uncle, Amber's uncle.
So his name's Henry and their family. Also, Keith Jenkins, I know we've talked about him. I'd like him on the podcast at some point too.
Yeah.
But June, he's been trying to be more consistent with posting on men's mental health.
Oh,
And
cool.
I've been posting on that and reposting his videos. And I know he mentioned in one of his he's been struggling, so I wanted to lift him up.
Yeah. Yeah. Keith, we're praying for you as well. I think that's so cool. That's a part of community that we're listening in, and we're not only creators, but it's a two-way street,
Yeah.
right? Supporting one another in what we're doing. So let's take a moment, shall we? Heavenly Father, we've been given another day, and we sit here in this podcast, Mind, Manna, and the Maker, and we just want to pause and just recognize who you are and recognize your love for us and how persistent you are in pursuing us. Lord, there is somebody listening to this podcast that is walking through a valley of the shadow of death, and it's discouraging and it's difficult. Lord, there are many names mentioned, and you know me and names, but I'm going to give it a shot anyway, and I'm just going to lift up Keith, who is being transparent, open, and honest. I want to lift up Amber and her heart for her uncle and her uncle's situation with his health. Lord, I want to lift up Julie as she's on the mend, has those things removed. And I'm thankful, Lord. I'm thankful. Just ask, Lord, that as the doctors and staff learn of what's going on, that she could have peace. Praying for Kaylin and Mom's heart, as that Kaylin would be safe, that Mom's heart would be at peace as she is moving into another season of her life. She is gaining more responsibility. She is learning new skills. I pray that, Lord, for all of our kids. I pray that for each of us, Lord. And I invite your Holy Spirit now as we do another episode, asking that you would guide and direct our conversation. We thank you for your love, your sacrifice. We ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I do have to clarify, actually, because I didn't make it clear. He actually passed away, her uncle.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I'm glad you did clarify that. Yes.
So,
That's hard. So
definitely.
she's
There,
walking through that.
Yeah, I think that's the hard part because, again, his other brother witnessed it, and it's their first day of their vacation, and it was a motorcycle accident, and he didn't make it. His brother did, but his brother witnessed it.
Yeah, no, man. Yeah, that's got to be hard. So sorry for your loss. When I think about how we react, and we've been talking about the brain a lot, and you brought us a brain.
Yes.
And we're talking about back to the brain. And when I had asked you, could you describe what your motivation of this episode was?
So it was a while ago, but based on what I remember thinking of is whenever something happens, we can always go back to the brain for an explanation. And if we look at the 4 F's that we have mentioned, fight, flight, freeze, fawn, but you can usually go back to the brain to see, okay, where did this situation start? And so my brain actually opens up at the
yours.
corpus callosum.
Wow.
So the corpus callosum, which is this crater in between, isn't actually developed until age 12, which is also explaining why kids don't always regulate well, because you have your creative side, then you have your cognitive thinking side, and we already know that our prefrontal cortex is the last to develop. That's not even fully developed until we're almost 30.
Wow.
So in some cases it is. And so if there's executive skill function delay, whether it's because of ADHD, autism, other things, that part isn't developed. And so with the corpus callosum, when they're like, oh my word, why aren't they making sense? It's because this isn't even developed yet for them. But when you look at this, so the eye sits here, vagus nerve moves through. So you have your occipital lobe, you have your occipital nervous system that triggers events, which if you see something scary, then you get this immediately down. Oh no, we flight, we got to do something. But it also is very much connected to, so the pituitary gland is down here, but then you have your sensory, so relay sensory into cortex. So you have your emotional, sexual states with the amygdala is over down here. So you have this, and then your basal ganglia is really close as well, which is the fight or flight center of the brain.
Wow.
And so that's why I was saying, like, oh my word, how much of this can be relatable to all of us when we look back to the brain in any situation.
Wow.
Like when I'm anxious with everything going on, I'm definitely in this space.
That place.
I can think, okay, Julie, calm down. This is a normal emotional and developmental space for every teenager. That does not help me right now. So that's sending all of these things of, oh my goodness. So that's the part. It's so interesting.
Man, it is. The brain is. Can I
Yeah.
hold the side of your brain here? So when I think of, like you said, you mentioned this middle part here, it doesn't develop until you're 30.
So
or
no,
something.
this part actually starts to, your amygdala actually starts to develop more during puberty. Puberty, yes.
Okay.
So sexual urges, emotional. You wonder why a teenager is going to go from one side to the other immediately.
Right.
It's because this part is starting to grow exponentially fast.
Wow,
And
okay.
so they really don't have the capacity. It's learning how to swim for the first time. You have the panic, or driving. You have the panic, or you're like, brake, gas, and you're like, oh, which one is it? Okay. The more we use it, the more that we have experience with it, the more that part calms down.
Okay.
But
Experience
right
will calm
now,
us down.
it's a fire alarm going off at any moment that's got a short in it.
Yeah. I love how you mentioned. So we were talking earlier about how something you used to do when you were younger. One of the things that I do is that I just forget people's names that I've known all along because is that this part right
Yes,
here?
that would be probably the shoomp, it's
Yeah.
gone. You're not in your frontal cortex at that point.
Okay.
But something's going up that moves you out of there, and you're like, okay, I cognitively know this person, but I do not remember names. But part of that could be an executive skill function too, working memory.
Okay, working memory. Yeah. Because I know their names. I know them well. If I'm just calm, I'm fine. But man, when I get there, I'm just like, oh man, it's a mess. And then I think about my son. I think about Ezra and the fact that he's 4 now. He's about 4 years old and he's not speaking. Now he's repeating some words and it's increasing. But is that what part of the.
So that would be the front. Words, cognitive language. So you actually have the language part of your brain on that side. So the front, the other side has language. So this one, on this side. So language is over on here. So
see.
this part of the brain anyway is last to develop.
Oh,
And
that's what you
so
meant. Okay.
for kids learning to speak, that's going to be this part anyway.
Okay.
So all the executive skill functions sit up here.
Oh, that's executive. Okay.
And here we have creativity, intuition, spatial awareness is on this side. And then the language, cognitive skills is on the left side. And so it's for kids, it really just depends because he'll probably grow up to have great language skills. It's just executive skill function is a little delayed. And it's just getting the support he needs.
Yeah, we're getting ready to take him in to get him tested and everything, but it's just fascinating how powerful the brain is. They always talk about that story in psychology class, the guy who had a shaft blown through his
Oh, yes.
brain,
And how he's still.
Phineas Gage, that guy. And it was like he was a different person almost. He had a filter. He just didn't have a filter after
Yeah,
that.
because that part of the brain was, I would really question if he had one before anyway, because
Yeah.
I know my son struggles too. That part's not highly developed.
Developed, yeah.
But so the interesting thing,
Oh,
so if
wow.
you learn this part, learning memory is down here, and we have our hippocampus. So we have an experience, we have short-term memory, and then if our hippocampus, it needs to move through hippocampus to work into long-term memory. And the problem is if cortisol is too high, say the experience is too big,
I
and
see.
our hippocampus is flooded with cortisol, we're not going to have the long-term memory of it.
Wow.
And
so you just
so-
end up, yeah.
It moves into implicit memory versus explicit. Explicit is when we have a knowledge of something, our body says something, and then the cognitive memory comes up. But implicit is we just feel it.
Just feel, wow.
And so if we just feel something, then we have our bodies, hey, something's going on here. Our nervous system remembers something, but we don't have the explicit memory of the event.
That's incredible. That's wow. That's our brains. Wow, the way they process things is amazing. Anxiety, fear. Is that where it
That
lives?
sits right behind the eyes.
Wow. That's crazy, right?
So this part of the brain, anxiety and fear, is right behind the eyeball, which would make sense because then it's, we must react. We must save ourselves.
Yeah. Wow. That flight or fight thing you said, man. So I think about you look at how your relationships, right? There's things that bind us to other people. There's time, there's relationships, there's this brain of yours. There's fear in those chemicals, like you said, that will make things short term, right? And you don't have a long term memory. I think about my childhood, how I've forgotten a lot of things. I have no clue. But then I think about those things that live for almost forever, it seems like. Those little snippets
The
of
core memories.
the core memories, right? That just live in there. Do you have anything that you remember it down to like,
All the details.
yeah.
I have a couple. I think I've brought it up in here. The tornado that hit at Oshkosh at Pathfinders.
Oh, yeah.
I remember trying to wake my sister up. I remember a lot of storms, actually. When growing up, I remember my dad wouldn't let me sleep in his bed, but my mom would move me into the floor and I would cry. I would just cry. I hated the loud noise. I hated all of that stuff. And so those things I remember laying on the floor on my mom's side of the bed. And I remember her saying, "Hey, just pretend it's the Angels bowling." And I remember, okay, that was a strike.
Oh, that's so good. Okay.
And so she was really trying to help me reframe, even though she didn't realize that was what she was probably doing. She was trying to help me think of something positive in an event I was so scared.
So she was doing some therapy. Is that a type of therapy she was doing?
Cognitive behavioral therapy. When you reframe a situation, you're changing what your brain thinks or experiences into something different.
Wow. That's powerful. And would you say that helped?
It does help. Even to this day, I've given that same example to my kids of just saying, "Hey, do you remember what grandma used to tell me?" And now we had a loud bang and I did scream. It was caught off guard. And I wasn't even super scared. I just was not expecting. And then my daughter's laughing like crazy because it caught me. But I'm just like, wow, but I'm not, at this age, I'm not nearly as scared as I was. I remember that, but I've lived life. And so my body's experience just kind of calms everything down.
Yeah.
But when you're in it for the first time, everything, excitement of all of that is just so big.
So big. I like that description. Man, so what about sleep? Where does sleep live?
Nah,
Is that
that's
in
a
here
great
somewhere?
question. There is no actual, your entire brain needs sleep. And
Okay.
so what will happen is if you sleep, then you're not in your frontal cortex. I think you're more in your midbrain. You should be in your midbrain. Yeah. Because that's where you need to be to heal. Because you can't be in fight or flight to heal. And that's more in the hindbrain. But midbrain, with it being calm, you need to be able to heal. And so when you're sleeping in a good way, but if you're having nightmares, then you're in fight or flight more often. But being able to sleep, you're in your subconscious. So like some people lucid dream. I actually do that quite a bit where I can be in a dream. I wake up, go to the bathroom, come back, and I can go back right to sleep into that dream.
Oh, right back into the dream. That's incredible. I'm working with Moses some. And I was showing him about this TED talk about sleep and the brain, and because sometimes he has a little trouble sleeping, and it's just such a weird phenomenon to him because what is the brain doing? Because when you're during the day, you're here, right?
You're supposed to be, yeah.
Yeah, it's supposed to be. Yes. and then when you're going to sleep, does the brain ever shut off?
No,
It
not
doesn't.
no, not really.
Yeah.
It's just more into, I think, of a dormant state.
Yeah.
That's where it's okay, we're reserving our energy. But the problem is, depending on what we're dealing with, our brains are meant to process what we haven't been able to fully work through during the day. And so when we're sleeping, we're supposed to be able to move through that so that it does store memories. It moves short term into long term.
Okay.
Sleeping
that's what
is a severe part of that. You have to be able to help to move short term into long term. But if we're not sleeping well, naturally we'll not do that.
Man, that's incredible. So, it's interesting because short term into long term. The other thing I saw in that TED talk, it was talking about how if you need to sleep, have you ever had to need to sleep after you studied something or learned something?
I don't know. I've heard that. Now, some people, ADHD brains, that's not necessarily true.
Oh, really?
Their brains process different. And so they're better if they cram right before a session.
Oh,
And
wow.
so and I think that's the interesting part about learning and brains, because now if they do it long enough, but the problem is we know about most ADHD is they're procrastinators. So they're not going to start studying long term to keep it because they can't sustain their attention. Their dopamine isn't high enough to push them into studying. They start getting anxious as the deadline starts to come up. And then it's,
no.
okay, now I have to get this done. So most of the time they're cramming right before a test.
Right before a test.
And most of them do really well.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's like, why would I start studying 3 weeks ago when I can pass this when I study for 2 hours right before the test?
Oh, wow. Okay.
Now, whether or not they remember that, that's that.
That's a good point. The other thing that comes to my mind is the thing that you said there's short term, but the thing that bonds, say you and Adam, you said that you talked about that center part when you're a teenager.
Yes.
Does that part have anything to do with the core memory, the bonding thing that bonds people? Or?
So there's multiple parts of that come up, but it's definitely more of the midbrain, the amygdala.
Okay, I broke your brain, I think.
It's already broken, but
no.
you got it. So
Okay.
yeah, it is the amygdala. Because when you're a teenager, especially boys, but girls too, like you can come up like, oh, they're cute. That's this part of the brain.
Okay.
That's mid part. But when you start to connect with them on an intellectual level, on a deeper level, that's going to be that's going to be frontal cortex because it's all of that. But most of the time, people definitely connect from an emotional space, sexual space in the midbrain.
In the mid.
That's
okay.
where first it starts because it is connection. Now, some people hate someone first. So that is more of a
wow.
disgust. But then as they get to know them, they grow more into that space of, okay, there's deeper connection here.
Yeah.
Because if you meet, I told Adam this, and I know I've talked about it. If I would have met him in high school, we would not be married.
No kidding.
I would have been like,
Touch a different part of the brain. It's like,
too weird for me. I can handle his weirdness now because my daughter's all the time like, oh, guys, and my daughter's like, you married him? Like, yeah, I did. My brain was not fully developed at that point, but I did make that choice. So I deal with that every day.
yeah. Well, it's like a great slow burn romance. You watch those shows like Dawsey, and he's like this jerk. And then after a while, you get to know him, and he's not just a rich jerk.
No,
like,
there's so much underneath.
Yeah.
He's actually kind, but he had a lot of hurt.
Yeah.
Protecting his sister that made him into this like cold, nobody's going to penetrate this armor.
Yeah. See, you've seen this.
I have. Pride and Prejudice.
So good. So good. Recommended, guys. Yeah, we were on a BBC-a-thon recently. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Bennett, the other Bennett sister.
That's what we've been watching. That's so funny that you said
There's
that.
another one today.
Is it today?
Yes, it's on Wednesday.
Oh, man. Okay, after Wednesday night, that's where I'll be. Also, they're doing a new Alone, which I don't know why I like that show so much. People go out into the wilderness, 10 items, and just survive.
Have to survive.
Yeah, I would never make it.
I think there is a desire for most people to be like, okay, could I do that?
Yeah.
I think probably more instigating on the male, but it's
Yes,
not. There's
yeah.
females that do it too.
There
But
are.
I think a lot of male, like driven, I think I could do that. I think Aiden thinks he could do that.
Yeah.
So he's, oh yeah, no problem.
He has some of those Pathfinder skills. He might make it.
He has survival skills.
Yeah, and start a fire and all that. So yeah, that's great. So we were talking about, and I'm headed somewhere with this. I have a list of these people because I'm thinking about the thing that bonds humans together, and I think about bonding with other humans, but bonding with God. And for that to happen, there has to be trust. There has to be a safe space. And I think about how the way God sees us is a very important thing because I think whether you're religious or not, there's like this feeling of when you do something naughty you're not supposed to do.
The morality.
Yeah, morality. There's like a judgment element to it. We judge others or we judge ourselves. And that whatever that chemical, because there's dopamine, yeah, but those chemicals that do long-term bonding, I don't know. There's so many
So
chemicals.
there's oxytocin, which is the love chemical.
Oh, okay.
And
okay.
endorphins. You have oxytocin is probably the one you're talking about. That's the connection and the chemical that promotes out of love. So when you're holding your baby, when you're giving your spouse a hug, things like that's the chemical that's being released in the brain.
Released. The reason why I bring that up is because I'm thinking about this back to the brain thing, and I'm thinking about the thing you mentioned was going from an emotional, like an obedience, I don't know, like a state of doing to an emotional state. And you said in the message we were talking about that people will sometimes jump from one state to the other. Can you describe that? I didn't do a very good job, but you were saying let me see. It was, oh, let's see what I did with that. Hopefully it's still there.
My brain's glitching, so I need a little more information.
Oh, no, it's all good. There is I'll just go to, because you were talking about how we move out of our frontal cortex bond with emotion
Okay.
as things come up in life.
Example for logically right now, I'm talking about how, all right, Kaylin needs to learn how to drive.
Yeah.
This is a developmental stage she needs because driving, especially in the Midwest, you cannot get through life without driving.
Oh, man. You're absolutely
And
right.
so that's a completely rational belief. But then as soon as I'm in the car with her and she's fluttering between the brake and the gas and she's almost putting the car into drive instead of reverse, and then that's going to drive into our house. Like,
Oh,
I'm like,
no.
I'm not in my frontal cortex so much. I'm like responding out of sense of emotion, of anxiety.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
so it's so fast. It can happen so quickly. It can happen in an instant of things going well. And then you get bad news, you get a call, whatever the case is. And it shifts you into the mid to lower part of your brain. And this is where trauma comes in and has such a strong hold on so many things. I think about the disciples and Jesus all the time. Did Jesus stay in his frontal cortex the whole time?
That's a very good question. I would say no. Because
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think he was probably fearful. He asked in the Garden of Gethsemane, please take this cup from me.
Yeah.
I can't imagine he was able to pray and still have cognitive thought.
Yeah.
And he was in his 30s, so we know that at least his brain was fully developed. But
Interesting. Yeah.
he was crying tears of blood. That's a lot of stress.
That's a lot of stress. Man, I just think about how the creator of the world and how his brain functions just like ours in certain ways, of course. But I wondered how he relied on his father in moving from that, or how he was able. You said his brain was fully developed, but to be able to make that move, right? It was in a sentence.
Yeah.
Please let this cup pass from me, but
Your will be done.
yeah, not mine, yours.
So, and it doesn't mean that he wasn't in both places. You can still be fearful and still have access to your frontal cortex. You can. It's not one shuts off fully. Now, that can happen where you're in freeze mode. You can't think of anything. I've had that happen a couple of times where I'm like, nothing's here. I can even think that nothing's here. So obviously I have some access because I can think that, but nothing else is coming up. How do I respond?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I think about the other examples in the Bible of people who are moving from, I guess frontal is what you say, frontal cortex into that emotional state, and then how they handle that. Right. And I'm just hoping that we can land on something that I can use to, I don't know, move that, even though both can exist in the same space, but to be able to walk through that, because it feels, I think I paralyze. I'm just like, here, let me show you a couple. I think about when Peter denied Christ. I think about, let's see here.
I know we talked about that last episode.
Yeah, I have another one here. I have a lot of stuff about the World Cup right now for some reason. I don't know. Did you see that game last night?
I didn't.
Yeah.
People are asking, like, no.
Yeah. I think Pastor Jean was very happy to discover that Argentina won last night. So I have that in notes here. But yeah, Peter, I'll never deny you. We've got Martha. She's overwhelmed. She's frustrated. She's resentful. Jesus directs her to focus. If you had been here, that moment, it's like she knows. It's one thing to know that somebody has access to all, that God is who he says he is, and still respond the way we do as humans. That's what blows my mind. It just, I don't know if it's like that Israelite issue where you've seen it, you've seen what God has done, but when
you're in it. And I think that's the case because I know developmentally we've all been through this. You drove here, I drove, driving in itself. But it's such a good example, even because my friend's uncle, he started out with this, they're going on vacation. Yeah. You don't expect something horrible like that to happen. And in a split second, something can. Yeah. And I think that's the piece that where with the disciples, Jesus warned them. I mean, to that part, he did warn them, hey, if you follow me, this is going to
There will be
happen.
trouble.
But even Peter, he was like, oh, I will never deny you. In that moment, you don't think you're going to.
Yeah.
I think all the time people are like, what would you do in this? You're like, I hope I would
Right.
act this way.
Yeah.
But until you're in it,
Yeah.
you do not know what your brain is going to do.
Oh man, what a message. Oh,
And so I think it's okay. That's just why they have you practice tornado drills when it's completely sunny outside.
yeah,
They
man.
mean, or fire drills when it's because you need to, in the event that something happens, your brain needs to know how to respond.
Man. So maybe I need to start taking fire drills more seriously. And then I don't know, you can't be ready for everything, but
You
I
can't.
think there are some things, maybe there are some things I can do with exercises for my brain, not only for my brain, for the mind, but for the mana, and then towards the maker, like where I'm spending that time, that quiet time with God, or walking through, thinking ahead. I don't know. There's a balance with that.
There
you
is,
know?
because I think if you're too prepared, you're too anxious, you can't function in your prefrontal cortex. And a lot of people, and I work with this every day with clients, are like, yeah, but what if? I have to be ready for the what if. I was like, your nervous system is already conditioned to respond. So, example I give all the time, we can't be ready for everything that could go wrong. We can't.
Man.
But every day we can say, okay, am I sleeping well? That's going to put our brain in a much better space to respond if an emergency happens. But if we haven't been sleeping, we're eating like crap, we're doing all of that stuff, and then something does happen, we're not going to respond well because we're like, we can't. We're tired. We haven't fueled our body the way we need. So those are small things in those that we can do. Vitamins, doing those things. Our world doesn't have, our food doesn't have the nutritional value it used to.
Man, yeah.
It's
Things have
depleted.
changed.
And so we have to fill it with other things.
Like supplements and things man. Yeah. So I think that's helpful to know that there are some things that like you said, sleep, diet, exercise, touching grass, the oxidants of life.
Putting our phones away for a while, shutting down to a degree, not our body shutting down, but shutting off from the world for spaces. I think when we're so used to being on, the idea of being off scares us.
That's crazy.
But the problem is we need that time because that's where I believe the still small voice happens.
Man. So putting the devices away. I heard about this thing that recently that they say to turn off on YouTube, the shorts. Have you heard of it?
Because I would guess, because they're tempted to just, there's a snippet. Okay, what's the next one? What's the next one?
Yeah.
And so you just keep rolling through it.
Yeah. And I figured all social media was like that. So I don't know why they picked on that specifically, but I've heard a lot of people turning that off. But just, I think altogether, like you're saying, have a moment. So practicing that still small voice, getting exercise, eating differently, all those things, getting sunshine, getting rest. Okay, so there's a step there for getting back to the brain. Some of the other examples that came to that I was looking at, let me see if I still have it here. We had Mary, we had Jonah, possibly the patron.
So I see him as being a toddler. He had a temper tantrum.
He didn't.
Like, I'm not doing that. I'm just going to go and run the other direction. I don't know if you ever did this. I do. This is a core memory.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but my sister and I started talking each other into running away.
Oh, no.
We were really young. And you know, in the old movies where they had this stick over your shoulder with like a tied
Little knapsack on the
yeah.
back.
So we're like, we made ourselves angry at our parents about something. We're like, this isn't fair. And we just talked ourselves into this. We're going to run away. I don't remember what happened. Either, I think it was Heidi that actually started, and I ran back. I'm like, Heidi ran away. And my dad's like, what? Like, he didn't. I'm like, and to this day, I don't remember all the details.
Yeah.
But I think he left and we picked her up. I don't remember. We were walking. It was around work. But it was so funny. And I just remember thinking, like, what were we doing? Why were we even, I'm sure our parents gave us some reason to be upset, but we were young.
Right.
And so I can't remember all of it. I just remember us talking each other into this. And
This made perfect sense at the time.
upset. But that's how I remember. I think Jonah got upset because he was like, hey, I want you to do this. I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
I'm going to run away.
Yeah.
So he did. He also, obviously his conscious came back and was like, okay,
Yeah.
I feel bad. And why are we in this storm? And they looked and found the stowaway and throw the stowaway over. And then
Yeah,
it all
yeah.
calmed down.
Yeah. It's crazy. And it makes me think of what was his relationship like with God? Because
It obviously was good,
Yeah.
but Jesus was like, okay, really? We're going to have a temper tantrum over this because I asked you to do something?
yeah,
But how many of our kids do too when we
Oh,
ask them
man.
to put their clothes away?
yeah, that's very true.
That happened within the last couple of days at our house.
Yeah, the clothes.
I don't want to.
Yeah.
I've already put a couple away. I'm like, a couple
A
is not
couple-
all. What? And I think that's where his argument comes up of not wanting to change in the morning either, because then it means there's more for him to put away out on laundry day.
Yeah.
So why do I want to change my clothes? And if that means we have to wash more,
There's logic. There's logic. And I think it's cool how God works with his kids. There's different personalities with some of his kids, and the way that he's able to get through to some is different than others.
yes, and we're all different. And I firmly believe, and I saw this actually, I don't remember where I saw it, but I 100% also agree with this, that God can take all of our moods. We can be angry with him and he just sits there, okay, hey, I can handle this. And I remember telling clients this too. I was like, I think he's big enough to handle the anger.
Wow, you don't hear that much. I mean, raised necessarily to
I
believe
wasn't
that.
necessarily either because we needed to be respectful. But when you look at all of the people that he had closest relationships with in the Bible, David, Job,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there wasn't just this obedience. I think they were like, what is going on?
Yeah.
I don't understand. And I think, and I really wish where I could, because it just solidified my own belief in that, is he wants us authentically connected to him.
Connected.
Not this fake, just prostrating of,
Transactional.
yes, like he wants us authentic. And what are we authentically? Frustrated, tired, emotional. That's what I think he wants us in the relational part. And that's all back to the brain, is he doesn't just want us when we're in our prefrontal cortex. He wants us in all of this space.
Wow, that was like the perfect psychology. Like you said, he wants all parts of your brain. He doesn't want just, what did you say? Just the
Prefrontal
the
cortex.
prefrontal cortex. Yeah, the creator of our brains wants all of our brain.
Yeah.
Man. And so it looks like getting into a relationship, getting into a space where you can be authentic in the presence of God.
Because who are you most authentic with in your real life?
yeah,
your wife.
Yeah, that's very true. Very true.
All of
Yeah,
it.
Yeah.
The snotty nose when we're sick, the throwing up when we're morning sick, the happiness when we get the job we wanted, the tears when we lose family members, all of it.
Yeah.
That's who. And if we're supposed to have that relationship but bigger,
Yeah.
then wouldn't God want all of that?
I think so. So we need to be honest with our brain, honest with ourselves, honest with others, honest with God. And it's cool to hear that that God can handle that.
I think he can.
And he's done it so far. So far, so good. So I guess as I'm going through this journey, what are some things you think I could do, say or to practice maybe? We talked about some of the natural oxidants of life to help us. You can't be ready for everything.
No. And so
But-
one of the things, and I don't know if this is necessarily where you're moving to, but one of the things they talked about when we get into the freeze mode is small movements. And so I really think this is probably why people with autism have a lot of movements, because they're in their nervous system a lot and their fight or flight. And so they're naturally moving, rocking to try to keep them out to regulate that overstimulation. And so that's similar. We need movement, walk, just dance. All of those things are things that help us move out of that fight, flight, or freeze, because it's telling our nervous system, hey, if we can move, then we don't have to necessarily be as much danger, because we can move out of the danger especially if it's freeze. And how many times in the Bible did they dance in celebration and worship?
That's very
It happened
true.
a lot. But even that, it's just, or singing or things like that. Now, remembering that can be hard. And so I tell a lot of my clients, especially if there's a lot of trauma, let's do an emotional toolbox. And what that looks like is a little toolbox that has grounding activities.
That's interesting. Is it a real thing or is it like a figurative?
No, for me, it's a real thing with clients. Like
see.
you can do it with kids, you can do it with adults. If they struggle to move into freeze mode, get this box. It can have silly putty. It can have textured scents because when you're 5 grounding, sight, smell, hear, taste,
Touch.
see, I don't know. I've got them all
I think we
mixed up,
got him. I think we got him.
But when you can start activating those, it moves you into your more regulated brain.
I see.
And so I think that's the same thing. And also identifying, okay, if something's reminding us of the past that happened, we need to bring us back to the present.
To the present. Okay.
So
okay.
past versus present. So an example, if tornadoes, something happened, we lost our house in the past and there's a tornado siren, we have to like, okay, what makes us this different than last time? We have a basement. Giving examples.
Yeah.
We have a weather channel that we can immediately get a response from. We have water. We're how old now? Like those things bring us back to the present. But a lot of times that younger self is like getting activated. Oh no, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
This is right back to where we were. And we're like, no,
Yeah.
how old are we now? So we're communicating with that younger self to let them know, hey, we're not there anymore.
I appreciate that because it's like I think that's what I was looking for is a fire drill for when I'm not present. And that I think that's what I need to do is to work into getting into the present. And so, okay, so what do we have? Okay. How old are we now? It's not what it was in the
You're
past.
a husband now. You're a father now.
Yeah.
But a lot of times things trigger us and it's like we're right back to our childhood self where this happened. And we have to really validate that emotion, but then bring in the reality of, okay, but I'm not there anymore. This is how old I am. This is what we have. All of these things as we start layering up moves us back to our prefrontal cortex and then allows us to move out. It doesn't mean the anxiety will be fully gone, but as we validate that and then bring in facts to now, that is, and it's so past versus present and then facts versus opinions. Because the opinion is now that, oh no, this is going to happen again.
Oh man, that one's worse. That's terrible.
But I mean, we live in Kansas. Tornadoes happen all the time.
Yes, they do.
So while it is an opinion, it will happen maybe tomorrow.
Yeah.
Factually, it's happened in the past. So we have a good in our brains. Yeah, but it's Kansas, so the chance of it happening again is high. Okay, that's true. But what do we know right now? It's not happening today.
Okay, it's not happening today. So there you go. There's some things right there that I guess we could use in not just ignoring. And I think that's what, especially as a dude, like get her done is like the objective. And so I will bypass and override and get to what I need to do. But and sometimes emotion gets looked at as irrational. And we've talked about this before in episodes, but
there's purpose.
There's purpose. Yeah. And I think that's for the validating part of it, the processing part of it, looking at when Moses got mad and struck the rock.
But when you look at it too, because I think Jesus validated Peter, he validated Martha.
Yeah.
He validated all of them in that situation.
Yeah.
But he didn't keep it there. He then responded with more movement of, hey, I think when they were doing a debrief after, it was like, love neighbors. I want you to send this into all the nations. It was after, because he didn't shame Peter. He warned Peter.
He
did. How many times do we warn our kids? Hey, okay, if this happens, or no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. Oh, Aiden does this. He has this self-deprivating just space he gets if he gets too hungry. I'm just not going to eat then.
Oh no, he writes it off. I'm done.
And so this has happened so many times, and I'm like, I'll call it every time. No, it's not going to happen again.
It's not going to happen again.
Okay, and it happens again. I'm like, Aiden, do you remember our conversation? And he starts to smirk. Yeah. I'm like, how can we move forward to try not? And I was like, I don't know, because I can't think when I'm in that. He is able to identify that.
That's great. Yeah.
And I was like, I know. So I was like, bud, so maybe we need to put a timer on the iPad to remind ourselves to eat. Or so you're not, because he ignores, and then he's this Hulk monster of hunger, and then he can't think, and he doesn't, nothing moves to this space because he's just angry. And he's hungry and nothing else. And we went to Morgan's Steakhouse for the first time after we picked up the kids. Ooh. And I don't want to eat. it's just too loud in here and I'm not hungry. And
Okay.
I got a salad. And he's like, what's on that? And I'm just like, balsamic vinegar. He's like, okay. And then he just puts his head down, but I can start seeing him like popping his head out like a turtle.
Right.
And then we had the rolls. They had the sweet butter. And he's, what's on those? I was like, butter. And he's, anything else? I was like, yeah. I'm like, the sweet butter on there. What does it taste like?
I like that. Starts with questioning.
I was like, do you want one? No. I told you I'm not hungry. I'm like, okay. And I was like, do you want me to order you anything? No, I told you. I'm like, okay, I didn't this time because I'm really working on not enabling that.
Sure.
I'm trying to walk him through it, but I'm not enabling it. So I didn't
that's
order
good.
him food.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyway, our food comes and I could see his eyes. He's like, oh, and I was like, Aiden, would you like half of my burger? He's maybe. And so I cut it in half because I had French fries and a burger.
Yeah.
Anyway, he tried it and he said, oh, and then he starts eating. I'm so hungry, Mom. I'm like, yeah. Now we've done this multiple times. What have we learned? He's, I don't know.
That's so good.
And I'm just like, oh, bud.
Oh man, but what an example. I feel like we're God to our kids. And the
We're
way
trying to give, isn't that so true? We try to give an example of that, but isn't that why so many people also get hurt? Because they say, okay, if he's our heavenly father, he's supposed to mimic what that is supposed to look like.
Yeah.
But my father was not this.
Oh, I see.
He was not this person that showed me love and validation. He wasn't even here. My dad was present. He worked, but my husband's wasn't.
Oh, I see. Yeah, yeah.
And so if we get that example of what God's supposed to be like from our own earthly father, I think this is why we have so much destructive almost, or just this belief of what God in heaven is like, because we're doing that example based on our earthly father.
Wow, yeah. It's crazy because they look up to us, and you're right, and I can see how the damage can happen. But I look at Morgan's Steakhouse, and then I see how you said you were walking him through, but you didn't want to enable him. And so by walking him through, you knew what he wanted, but he didn't.
I know him so well.
Yeah.
At this point, I've seen this routinely
Yeah.
over and over. But when he's in that space, he cannot see himself.
He can't. There it is, guys. Cannot see yourself. I think that's the problem. Even I'm going to speak for myself on that. But then to walk with someone until they can see themselves, because he was asking questions. I love that progression. It's the best. And you're like, okay, and you respected his decision, and yet he still ate, and he realized, I'm so hungry. He confessed it.
Yeah.
I'm so hungry. It matched up. To me, this is an example of how, I don't know, how God walks us through and takes us there, and then we see ourselves.
Yeah.
And then we can admit or confess the
It's
very
like
thing he knew
He did.
all along.
I was trying to walk Aiden through each
Through his brain.
space of his brain.
Walking him through his brain. Yeah.
And God did the same thing with Noah. Ugh, no, I'm anger. I don't want to go and give your message to Nineveh.
oh,
right?
yeah. Or Jonah. Yeah, yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah,
Jonah.
no.
Yeah, not Noah. Jonah. I don't want to give this message there. And then
Yeah.
he has this mopiness. Guess where he ended up anyway? Because the whale spat him up there, and then he was still he gave the message unwillingly.
Yeah.
And then he goes and sits, all right, I'm going to watch this burn.
That's right. Yeah.
And this little shade came up.
Yeah.
And then the worm ate it. And
Yeah.
he's like, you took this away from me.
Yeah. How could you? How could you
So
allow
even
that?
though he saw I can imagine like all of these juices in the whale's stomach was starting to eat his skin up.
Give it a little,
Yeah, like rash there. He got spit up. He said, you
Yeah.
survived. And then he realized where he was. Seriously? This
Yeah.
is where you took me.
Oh man, yeah. And I almost feel like, I don't know, there's so many ways to look at the story, but I feel like it was an act of mercy to be eaten by that fish.
I mean-
because it's like he was like, this is me, and it's like in his mind he realized
It was definitely a second chance.
it was a second chance, yeah. Because it was me, guys. Just toss me over, the problem's over. And so he was like, man, my disobedience, like he knew what it was.
There was some guilt
yeah.
there of, I'm causing this for these people. They're
Yeah.
innocent because I'm trying to run. They're in the path of this.
Yeah.
And oh my word, doesn't that happen all the time where now if there's, I don't know, sadness or remorse. He felt bad, felt guilt.
Yeah.
But if we're not paying attention on our vehicles and we accidentally get in a car accident, there's guilt because we didn't pay attention.
Yeah.
So many life lessons. He was experiencing that in real time.
Man, and how God still walks us through, because belief is such a strong thing. For Morgan's Steakhouse, he believed, he was like, I'm not, this is where I'm at, until he could see himself. And it's even in the story of Jonah, until he could see himself. He could not see himself. But then he had these little acts that God would walk him through the belly of the fish, through the plant that withered. And it's like, in the end, I still don't feel like, I feel like there was probably more story in his life. God, he's just one of God's stubborn kids. And God still walks him through to see ourselves. I feel like that's going to be my prayer is, Lord, thank you. Thank you for being patient with me and walking me through my brain.
Even when we can't see it.
Even when we can't see it. Even when we can't see it. And I don't know, belief is such a powerful thing. Conviction is such a powerful thing. Even in my relationships, like when I'm right, I'm right. That's just it.
Why we don't have any other evidence that
would prove
against it.
There's solid evidence. My own brain is solid.
Says it is like,
It told
and I
me.
think it is because when we have an experience, that's what we go off of.
Yeah.
But I think I have the honor of sitting with clients that challenge my mindset all the time.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to have the same experience as the client sitting next to me, even when I am in my own therapy.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
But being able to see their experience and even see how they see me through their eyes. Oh, wow. That's not how I interpreted that. Thank you for sharing that with me, because that's not what I was thinking that was happening.
Yeah.
Like for Kaylin, she interpreted my anxiety as anger towards her. I wasn't angry. I was scared.
Yeah.
I was scared for her, a little scared for me. I've been in too many accidents, and she even knows this, but I was like, Kaylin, I have to get through this as well. And you have to be able to learn how to drive in anxious situations.
Oh, I love that. I love how you were like, I have to walk through this and you do too. So it's like we're both walking through our brains together. And man, the help of God is very helpful, useful.
It's hard for me to see this. And I'm not specialized in this in any way. I feel like I have just a snippet of understanding how the brain works. But for people to not see this and think that there is a creator out there,
Mercy.
it makes my heart so sad.
Yeah.
Because you can take even more parts out and see all of this. And I'm just like, oh, so much. There's so much here that God knew and saying, hey, all of this. Now, my humans will not use all of their brain all at once ever. But if they did, can you imagine? But
man, it's incredible. It's powerful.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good place to land the plane on as I think about a creator who created everything and it was good until it wasn't good. And the only reason for that is because of choices, and love makes creations that have the ability to make choice.
yeah.
And so we've got this mess, and I just think about the garden, just right outside, those two angels with their swords of fire. Check it out, Genesis
Could you be
chapter.
the grief of Adam and Eve looking in, knowing they used to be there.
Yeah. And for God to know from that moment their grief all the way to the cross and everything that would happen between that, all of the injustice and the cruelty and the violence and the pain and the trauma and just all of that. And for him to declare from this point all the way to this point that it was worth it.
Yeah. Obviously for him, that picture is bigger, but I see that where I see Aiden struggling and I'm just like, there's sadness there. There's maybe a little frustration because we've gone over this a bit.
Yeah.
But trying to just continue to be present with him for it. And I'm like, oh, please just eat this food.
Yeah.
I know you're going to feel better. Please just say, okay, yeah, I need to. But after he ate, he was able to say, it was just so loud in there.
Wow.
It was just so loud in there with all the music and the people talking, and he was overstimulated.
Wow.
But he couldn't tell me he was overwhelmed until we were out of the situation.
Oh, man. Guys, yes. And then he could see himself. I love that. I'm going to keep using that to see ourselves, to where we're at.
And sometimes if we can be like, whoa, okay, if I were to see myself in this, what would I've just seen?
Yeah.
Now that takes practice. It's not an immediate, it takes practice.
Yes, man. So practice out there, friends, and know that the creator of your brain, because like we said, there's no way these things don't just make themselves. This is the creator of the universe created our brains. The engineer is a master engineer. And not only does he understand it in ways that we could never,
Yeah.
but even in the context where brokenness has entered into our story, that the God of the universe still is such a good teacher and is such a great parent, friend, brother now, to be able to walk us through the parts of our brain. I don't know if you're overwhelmed today. Life is happening and it's crazy out here, isn't it?
Yeah.
And whether it's with our kids or just ourselves and just our churches, our circle, friend groups, our health, all of these things. But the one thing you can know is that the creator of this mass, this gray mass, has created you wonderfully, but has also come up with a way to walk us through the parts of our brains that we are unaware of and blind to, and has done something on our behalf to save these brains, to restore, to reconcile these brains to himself. If all of this, which I think is very clear, were true, would you take it? If there was such a thing as instead of living in this part, this fear spot, what is it here? Instead of living here, to live more abundantly, is it here we want to live?
Yes, all of them are important, but our prefrontal cortex allows us to think more clearly and understand.
Yeah. Imagine having a brain that, while the world is so full of things, scary things and anxiety and stress, that there is space. God created space for us to I don't know, what would you say? To live, to grow, to see ourselves. It's available. And I just want to invite you. I want to invite you, Julie. I'm going to take the invitation as well. Why don't we take hold of a God who made us wonderfully and has created space for us to heal, to grow, to learn? Would you take it?
Yep.
Yeah, me too. Any closing thoughts before we land the plane here in today's episode?
I think that's pretty good. I think the prayer that I definitely think of is just, Lord, no matter what part of the brain I'm in, help me in that, because ultimately I believe he can comfort and do all of that no matter where I'm at. And it's just to remember that.
Man, it's cool. I love that the aspect that Julie brings to this podcast with the mind and the brains that you work with every day. I think it's a blessing to know that we're not just floating ethereal beings that have emotions here and are connected to God in some way, and others, that there's real brain here and there's parts of it, and there's a way to move through that thing to where we can see ourselves in others the way God sees us. And so I think that's a good place to land this plane. I want to thank you so much for joining us today on this episode. My name is Fred, and I'm here with
Julie.
And you were listening to
Mind, Manna,
and the Maker. Talk to you next time.